Welcome to the Rise to Thrive podcast with Matt
and Brooke,
where we embrace what it means to be human and explore how to become the most expansive versions of ourselves through vitality, connection, and play.
Expect honest conversations, transformative stories, and playful shenanigans as we unpack what it means to claim a life of your own creation.
Ready? Let's rise.
Yeah, this stuff, man. Oh my God. Incredible.
Yeah.
I travel with it everywhere. It shit is just like, especially if you're out in the sun, it gives so much hydrating force into the microbiome of the skin, which is different than the microbiome internally. You know, we're an ecosystem of ecosystems, right? So just supporting that communication and that repair.
Yeah, I just got some like Arctic herbal like skincare that I've been using the last like 2 days.
Yeah, your skin's always been really, really good. You've always had really great skin since I've known you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never really had any crazy skin issues. I mean, I used to have like some hormonal stuff back in the day, and then I started cleaning up my diet and all the things and really healing my gut. And obviously we know the gut skin access and
it's a lot simpler than I think we make it to be.
Yeah, and my mom right now is dealing with a crazy flare up of like extreme psoriasis, and we're on the regenerative health kind of tip. We've been learning a lot more and how the skin is really our, third detox, or when the liver is backed up, the skin is really just trying to get shit out.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, what's going on at the level of the liver, which is doing a million different things at once, right? And it doesn't have the capacity to be able to process everything. So the skin's like, all right, well, here I am, like, just send it through me. And so it's been a journey with her and doing our best to support in the ways that we can. And it's her own.
The way she'll receive.
The way she'll receive and take aligned action. And she's been in it, researching very much, like trying to figure it out in a holistic way, which is nice. She's very much like not about the pharmaceuticals or the cortisones and all of that stuff, but it's an initiation.
It is. Well, I don't know if you guys saw, because it just dropped a couple days ago, Zach's interview with Joe Rogan, but
we were just talking about
her. I was like, she was just on Joe Rogan.
It was really, really good. I think that he said what he wanted to say and kept Joe, it was challenging for Joe.
Yeah.
Because I felt him wanting to push back and kind of, and I don't follow Joe a lot, so I don't know his style, but that much, but he can talk over people and kind of not let it. It's like, dude, this guy's dropping bombs. Like, just let him run.
Right.
And, but Zach was so
like graceful.
Just compassionate, graceful, patient, and composed in a way that just gently brought him back. And he kept repeating one of the phrases that he launched, because he just released his book.
Yeah, we just listened to the podcast that he was on, the Aubrey Marcus.
Aubrey was great. Yeah, that was fantastic. So you got a little glimpse there.
Yeah.
But he, this idea of biological renaissance, and renaissance is a word that I've been feeling for, ever since COVID, right? Ever since that event.
COVID, I like that.
I could feel the bottleneck of creativity through humanity being stifled, and you can't do that. It's going to just build pressure, and then it's going to expand in this massive explosion of creative energy. And we've been seeing this. I know you've been feeling it in your lives. You've been witnessing it, observing it, and this is what's so beautiful about the time we're in, is creative expression is just going through the roof, and it's going to get even more so. It's going to 10x. And so, that's, to me, this biological renaissance is coming back home for those that really hear the message and the call and start to reorientate differently in their lives. everything is so wide open. There's so much opportunity right now on the earth. It's incredible. Every industry has to be completely reinvented and flipped on its nose, and the way we orientate to the way we live, to the way we do education and transportation and energy and all of these things that were set or in society, they're all going to be redone
Yeah.
to include the wisdom that our bodies never forgot,
Right.
and start to integrate that back in. And as a natural side effect, the communities just build. Or maybe it's the other way. Maybe the communities build and that comes out. Who knows? But it's like community driven.
Yeah.
People start to get over their judgment, right? And they start to come together for common core values
Yeah.
of what really sustains, so that our grandchildren's grandchildren have something to build upon, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about crisis, right?
Mm.
In the crisis is opportunity.
mm,
So as things crumble, as they are, I'd be like, yeah, if you have the right mindset to approach it from that mindset, there's tons of opportunity. So I love that you're saying there's tons of opportunity right now. There's an abundance of opportunity, whereas many people are probably looking at life.
We're losing opportunity.
We're losing everything. Everything's going to shit, like.
mm.
So I
Yeah.
think that's a beautiful mindset.
Yeah. Winds of change are blowing, and embracing it is the key. I think the future really lies to those that are most adaptable.
Yeah.
You got to be adaptable,
100%.
right? And so we're seeing, we saw that in COVID. If you weren't adaptable, you were going to die or be very, very ill, or right. And so, but those that were adaptable and could adjust to the change, I think came out of it springboarded ahead.
100%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, we talk about that often.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of like, we'd love to put in some roots, and we're obviously traveling because we enjoy being nomadic, but also in pursuit of finding the right place where we want to put down roots.
Yeah.
And we talk about how often right now during the chaos, it almost feels more comfortable to be so agile that at a moment's notice, we could pivot and redirect and go somewhere else, versus like, oh, we got a house, we got to worry about, all these responsibilities of roots right now is kind of a blessing in some way, It's like it makes me think of the warrior archetype, who's just like so adaptable to his environment, got everything with him on his back. It's like can redirect. So
Yeah, like all of our life fits into that tiny minivan pretty much somehow.
That's
right. Yeah.
We're calling in the upgrade. So rolling up and seeing your van, we're calling in something
Mine's
a
been
little more spacious.
A labor of love. Yeah, I'm just now getting it back online. I had to set that project down when my dad was ill, but yeah, been doing a lot to it recently. So it's fun. It's that mobile workstation where I want to see a different horizon line. Let's go see a different horizon line.
Yeah.
Right. You open your door and like, this is my front yard today.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the van life. That's what we love. And weaving, we feel like we're weavers, where we're boots on the ground, meeting different people, meeting different communities, and kind of being the ones to like connect people and just create that web, continue spinning that web. And and the podcast has been a part of that too. And even we've already seen it happen with different guests, and people being like, oh, I want to have that guest out at my land in Costa Rica to talk to the trees and, help build these beehives and different things like that, or like different clients with different people. And so it's been cool to just see how that's already starting to happen. And we're just kind of beginning with it. So excited to see like what comes of just sitting down and having conversations with real ass people in a synthetic world, right? Half of this world that's like the synthetic world, and then the natural world, and trying to stay connected to the soil and everything that makes us human. So well, do we want to do an actual intro?
I know we did a rolling start, but yeah, let's officially welcome our guest.
All right.
I'll leave it to you to introduce Scott. I'll open.
Sweet. All right. And we'll just get in.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Just one little thing to be mindful of: the microphone. When we're holding them, the tendency is to like hold it high, but
Block
then it
the
covers
face.
the mouth
Yeah.
and the face. Yeah.
Keep
So
it
just
down
keep
here
it
to
near the
chin.
chin.
Just
Okay.
lick the ice cream.
Like the ice cream cone. I'm always reminding Brooke. I'm like, drop it
I
down.
know.
People want to see your beautiful smile.
Right.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Rise to Thrive podcast. We're your hosts, Matt.
I'm Brooke.
And today we've got another incredible guest.
We've got Scott Estrada on the podcast today. And we got connected back in, was it 2022? Is that the year?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think so, because I think that's when I moved
2022.
back from Portland to Grass Valley, and I
Mm.
remember being on the call. So I was doing Zach Bush's, at the time, 8-week Intrinsic Health course.
Mm-hmm.
And Scott was my coach.
Mm.
And then we ran into each other at a dirt wire show in Grass Valley and got to meet in person. And here we are again, however many years later, 3 years later or so.
Yeah,
and
4 almost, yeah.
Yeah. And I know that you're coming out of a powerful immersion experience out in Utah that I know you shared a bit about with me. And, just like to offer the invite to speak to whatever's alive for you right now. And if you want to share a little bit more about your work, how you got involved with the immersion experiences. I'm sure it's been a whole evolution since I've been tapped into that world. So
Yeah. Thanks, you guys. Yeah, it's great to be with you both and kind of revisit where our connection began, and the journey. And
hey, everyone, just wanted to jump on here quick and give you guys some love and shout you out. We've been doing this podcast and we've been having a lot of fun doing it.
So if you are having fun on this journey with us, make sure to like the episodes and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then give us a follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as a 5-star rating.
And if there is a notification bell, make sure to hit that so you don't miss an episode.
All right, back to the show.
See you in there.
it's been so amazing. Hundreds of people coming through that Journey of Intrinsic Health program, and the uniqueness of the 8 people in a container, right? Which is what we had when you were going through it. And at that time it was 8 weeks. And then you get a year to integrate all of that content and that experience, but to be witnessed in that container of 8, and then as a coach to kind of guide and really observe and witness the whole thing has been an incredible experience for me. The relationships that were built and continue to nourish as time goes on, even though if people maybe leave the community or they go off and do other things, I think it was always Zach's idea or maybe aim to create an incubator. And within that, people would start to see this beautiful reflection of themselves that often we're blind to seeing as humanity. But in a container of 8, you're going to get a beautiful mirroring from all these different people. And within that, they start to see things that they were blind to, and then they go off and start to really express that in their path, in their walk. And, we hear what they're up to. They go create new solutions in the world, right? A world that's so ripe and pregnant for different solutions of our modern day living, and collaborations and inventing different things, but goods, services, products, organizations, whatever it is. This has been the storyline with the journey. And so it's great to kind of circle back with you guys now and up here in this beautiful, land, in the forest that I just learned that you grew up in, So yeah, these immersions, I just went to my first one in April, May, in Nosara in Costa Rica at Blue Spirit. Which is actually the last one that we'll ever have there.
I know that place.
Yeah.
I'm just going to fix
yeah.
our shade setup here. Which
that
could
was a
happen.
natural little spin there.
Yeah.
Could happen again.
Yeah.
But we're working with the elements here.
Working with the elements, podcasting outdoors, y'all. But for those who don't know who Zach Bush is and maybe what the immersion is about and/or the program you did, could you maybe share a little bit more context?
So, it's really interesting. I was at the time 2017, we go back to 2017, I was running a juice company that I'd started, 4 years prior in Sacramento. And I think I was working 100-hour weeks. It was so much work. It was so much labor. It was so beautiful in so many ways, but so hard and in other ways. And as much as I was hanging on to that, I knew I needed to shut that down and kind of step away and do something else. And I was resistant. I loved the people, loved the customers, et cetera. I loved the families, supporting them and all the things that were going on. We were making incredible juice and incredible nut milks, and everything was raw as ever and in glass, and we recycled the glass. It was a great operation, but we didn't make a dime.
Yeah.
Right. So the margins were so small.
Yeah.
And labor was so high. But so I was getting messages, and I wasn't really paying attention to the messages. And that's, source will turn up the volume. And for me, I was coming back from a farmer's market in spring of 2017, and part of my load had come loose in my truck, and I pulled over on the highway, and in 10 seconds, I got crushed by a lady with dementia who hit me at 70 without even hitting her brakes. She thought she was in a moving lane of traffic. And that was a wake up. That was a huge wake up for me and for her. She needed to get off the road. They took her license, et cetera. Thankfully, she didn't die that day, but that was a huge wake up for me. And that was the beginning of the end of that project. And so just prior to that event, I was watching, with my girlfriend at the time, a little expose called Doctors Against Disease. And I think it was a Mercola thing. And he had on a platform of like 7 or 8 docs. And Zach was one of those docs. And it was docs that had kind of left the traditional practice, conventional practice, and moving towards lifestyle medicine and shifting ecosystems to shift the genetic expression in the human.
Yeah.
Very, very much caught my eye. I'd studied all of this stuff for decades. And so I made a note of like, I don't have time to look into this guy's work, but I'm going to circle back. 3 days later, a very dear friend of mine posted a picture of them in Rome in the Colosseum. And I thought, well, how bizarre.
What?
Maybe it's a doppelganger. Maybe it's not him. So I texted her, and turns out it was him.
Dang.
And she was like, yeah, we're building this platform. And I've told him about you. And there's an opportunity here to be a part of a coaching platform. And so at the time, right after that event where I was in that accident, I was concussed, and I was a lot worse off than I thought. And so I didn't sleep for about a year. I was really, really in a bad way.
Jeez.
And I had to take everything I knew about wellness and health and natural medicine, everything I'd studied, and kind of put it on the shelf and just start from scratch and be like, okay, I got to reboot this nervous system and come from ground zero with my neurology. And it was so humbling. It was just like, on your knees, humbled, just completely like, okay, I'm just a newbie and I've got to learn this. And this is a big energy moving through my life, and I need to pay attention and really see what the bigger message is here. And so a few months later, they ended up coming through Northern California, or actually, no, it was about maybe 8 months later. And we talked, and it was like talking to my brother. It was so incredible. And he said, kind of some of the details of the opportunity. And I said, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not sleeping, and I'm in a mess right now. And he said, you can do this. He said those 4 words, you can do this. And I said, well, you don't really know much about me. I don't know much about you. He goes, you know enough about me, and I know enough about you. And so I just kind of leaped. It was, but there was a definite yes in my body, even though I was still resisting. It was there. So I went forward, and at that time he still had his clinic open in Virginia, and it was, he was seeing patients from all over the world and whatnot. And, he had left the University of Virginia, where he was triple board certified doc and doing some deep cancer research and head of endocrinology and internal medicine and palliative care, hospice, that kind of thing. So 3 unique subspecialties. And he opened up a clinic that was more of a nutrition clinic, because he started to make the connection to soil health and human health, and made some big discoveries about what was going on in the soil, even though he was really advancing with a new perspective on chemotherapy development for cancer and his team. the university couldn't really hold the discovery he had made. And so he realized it was deeper in the soil, and he went down that rabbit hole and found that's when he really learned about the impacts on our biology of glyphosate and, these pesticides, herbicides that are so toxic, but glyphosate being the most ubiquitous one that's sprayed everywhere. It's water soluble. So he opened up a clinic in the poorest county in Virginia and thought, if I can't help these people, I don't really deserve to be a doctor. So they were getting their food from maybe liquor stores or gas stations and started helping them grow gardens and get back to soil. And so immediately saw improvement there. And so that's what led him into this whole lifestyle as medicine and soil health and human health. And I started to learn about this. And so when he came and we connected, and it was the opportunity to build this program and this coaching program, that's where we started. And everything was kind of done over the phone, with clients. And there was incredible transformation that took place over the phone. And that was great. He would send me different patients and people that would come through the program. And I think at the time we had 4 basic modules that we were working with that he had recorded.
Yeah.
Then, the pandemic happened, that event happened globally. We all went through that massive stress and that massive change. And, the isolation was real. And I remember that we had a meeting and he said, yeah, we're not going to isolate at all. We're going to bring people together. No way, right? People are so isolated already.
Right.
So that's where we created the journey with the 8 modules expanded. And I think that's when, Brooke, you got involved shortly after that. And we started putting 8 people in a Zoom room. And I didn't know what Zoom was. Nobody really knew.
Right.
I mean, we just kind of learned as we went. And it was incredible. It was an amazing opportunity to really put people in a container and to bring back the sense of community and connection that drove it. And it was a home run. I mean, it was just incredible.
Was that the first iteration of that program format? The 8 week
of the video when it went to the full journey expression of Journey of Intrinsic Health with the 8 modules. Yeah, that was
her
the
cohort was the first.
It was one.
I think I was the second.
Yeah, one of the first. Yeah, that came through.
Cool.
And I think, gosh, 100 groups later.
Whoa.
And many individuals, because there was an option to do it one-on-one, more tailored, or a group. Right. But those were the only 2 options. And so it was an incredible opportunity to meet just all these different people from all walks of life, from all over the world, and share this desire for this regenerative future, right? This reconnection to nature. And as Zach says, we don't really have a healthcare issue. We don't have health issues. We have a nature deficit disorder. So it was great. But that's where it really began. And now, it's gone through different iterations and growth and whatnot, but the immersions kind of came out of this desire to gather in person,
right?
Which is natural. And so I wasn't at some of the first immersions. I think those took place in 2024. I was still had a full load of coaching and whatnot in the platform. So I didn't go to those first ones. So this last one that he did in Osara, I think he'd done 5 others in Osara, maybe 6, was the only one that I went to. So it was the first time that he brought the coaches. There was 3 of us as the coaching hub into the immersion. And so it was just him and the coaches and our little team. And it was incredible. It was an amazing experience.
How many participants?
There was 120.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it was a solid size group. Yeah. And, we're at this incredible ecosystem of just incredible biodiversity right on the ocean there, some of the best world-class waves. And, we're up at this sky hall, which is all glass. And, you're up there 4 stories above the canopy of the jungle and you're looking down this coastline. And then at night we would do sessions and, these windows are 10 feet tall. They're all glass. And so you really feel this, and we'd open them up at night to let the breeze come in and the winds would blow and the thunder and the lightning and the storms would roll in. It was just incredible, just an amazing experience. And I think that was the thing that I loved the most about it, was that nature was really running the show.
Yeah.
The rhythms of nature were really running the program. We had spent months and, many meetings to develop programming and how this was going to go, which was all great. But at the end, we surrendered a lot of that and let nature kind of orchestrate how this was going to run. And it really was better than you could have dreamed. I mean, the timing of everything and how the energy moved and the level of connection to watch 120 people literally fall in love with themselves and each other and get past their judgments, their own self-judgments, their judgments of whatever, and come to a radical acceptance space, right, was really, really beautiful. So many moments of just, I think that's what the immersions are. It's not so much about a didactic information. You're going to get all this information. You're going to get an experience that shifts your perception of life and the world, of yourself, your place in it. And I like to say that my favorite definition of a miracle is a shift in perception, right? So in that way, there was just miracles popping off these immersions. And so we just followed that one up in spring with the one we just did in Utah. Now, the one in Utah was rewild, and that was all off grid. So we went out there 2 weeks early and helped build camp with an incredible team on one of our coaches' incredible Healing Seeds Farm, Dr. Babby Stearns. She's an amazing just friend and colleague and coach, but just a leader in that space. She's built an amazing medicinal farm out there, and she has a whole team growing powerful medicines and putting them into different things. And it's going to become an academy, a hub for people to come and learn this wisdom, cool. For people that want to go that path as be practitioners and doctors in that way, herbal doctors. So we did it all on her, I think it's like 60, 70 acres up on the Uinta Mountains range, just kind of above Park City there. So about 6,800 feet, high elevation, beautiful, beautiful place. So we went out there a couple weeks early, built 50 different glamping tents.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we had the option for people to bring their own tent or their own RV or camper or whatever van. So it was all off grid. And, the whole thing was just, again, it was this opportunity. Well, this one was different in the way that we had the tribal elders. So we had the Lakota tribal elders, Doug and Camellia Goodfeather, and their whole family came and built a sweat lodge. And so there was sweats that went on, 2-3 times a day for people to participate in and experience. But we also had the African elders, Puvan Moodley, Zach's good friend and colleague there, incredible wisdom keeper of that lineage. And then we also had the Peruvian elders there, Dr. Babby's a shaman of 35 years, working with him. So he came. And then also the Costa Rican elders, Manuel, our musician, world-class musician who did a lot of the music at these immersions in Costa Rica prior. He came to Utah his first time there. So just being in the circle of all this wisdom keepers was, again, an incredible catalyst to shift people's perception and orientation. And so to witness that, and of course, we're all grounded the whole time.
Right.
Everybody's in a room and artificial lighting, and we're all out in the elements. And I mean, people showed up, it was like 40 mile an hour winds, and everybody's just stoked, nobody complaining, everybody just embracing it. And then the temp drops like 35 degrees and it's super chilly at night, and we're bundled around the fires, and it was just magical. But also you had Nako there.
Nice.
Did music with Nako Bear. Who's from Oregon, I think, as you know, Brooke. Done a lot of festivals, an incredible musician in his own right. And so he came to really tune into that frequency and played such beautiful music in the back. And with, I think his colleague also and musician friend, Kimberly James was there playing, and then Manuel and then Nako's sound guy, Shane, and his lovely fiance, Emily, were there doing world-class sound, and they're musicians as well. So it was just this beautiful, when Zach would speak or whoever would speak, there was always an undercurrent of music happening in the background.
Interesting.
And it was really interesting. We had somebody, it was actually Zach's partner, Caroline, who said that, I hear you say a lot of this incredible stuff about physics and science and the world and your perspective on microbiome and all these things. And most of it maybe goes over my head, but when there's music in the background, it all lands. And I found that to be really interesting. It's so true. When you listen to somebody speak, when there's nothing, it can land to a certain degree, but when there's sound there and there's frequency there, that's more improv, and they're just pulling it out of the ether. It really has it lands differently. Has a powerful effect. So that was So that was the experience there. And, means so much magic.
Yeah.
So we're still integrating, and it was so powerful. And just to hear all the stories from people, that were there, come back to our journey community, which is our hub where we communicate and learn and grow together. So that's a little bit about the immersions. And I think that was the last one, at least for now. There's no plans to do any others. So I think you're going to see a lot of self-organizing in our community where people are already starting to rewild in their own way, in their own corner of the world, So
let that be the web, right? That other people get to start planting the seeds in their own communities and creating more of their own personal immersive events within, with their neighbors and people. And so it's not an end, it's just a continuation. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, if you guys didn't know, the 3 pillars of Rise to Thrive are vitality, connection, and play. If you want to squeeze more juice out of life, then join our free community on School.
This is about reclaiming your vitality, feeling more connected, and honestly, bringing more energy and play back into your life. And it's also where we'll be the most active. Real-time conversations, updates, all of it.
So if you're ready to go deeper and stay connected with us in real time, hit the link in the show notes and join the tribe inside.
Yeah, it was a beautiful seating. And, Zach always from day one, he's like, I'm not your guru. I'm not your teacher. I'm not your lead. I'm not your doctor. I'm not any of that. That's all lives in you.
Yeah.
And that's really what Journey is. And I think you got to, maybe you can expand on that, what you took away. I know it's been a few years, but from your experience, I think you got a taste of that.
Yeah.
This is not like we're following someone. We're
right. It's more like the teachings and the embodiment. It's like you could feel the embodiment of Zach. And I think I came across him during COVID. And was just like, oh my God, there was just this like resonance of truth that I could feel from his being. And that was really unique and special. And I'm like, this man is like a poet as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so just the way that he walks in beauty and was very attractive to me. And so I kept just eating up more that I could from wherever I could find him speaking. And I really loved that he's such a humble servant, that he doesn't want to be put on a pedestal. Right. And he's just like human to human. We're all on the same, the same playing field here. And yeah, so I dove into the intrinsic health journey, and I was already, very immersed in the world of health and holistic health, and studied nutrition and had my whole experience in the Western world and all of that. But yeah, so I was just kind of following the breadcrumbs of who is speaking this language that I feel like I speak as well or just resonate with. And so it led me there and just deepened my own practice, I guess, of living more in the rhythm of nature, right? Like that was really what it was for me, is like, how can we live with the rhythm of nature? And I was working at a farm at the time as well, and working with the land. And so I was listening to his lectures while working outside and like being so stoked and touching the soil and just infusing it with, I don't know, so much more like intention and care, and like having this awareness of how much healing is happening while I'm on the land. And that was the time of my life when I'm like, I want to practice what I preach, and I want to get in touch more with the land. And so since then I've been working with the land and working on different projects and farms and fruit orchards and things like that, because I'm like, I want to be in touch with life, the food, because I'm very much into nutrition. And so I'm like, I want to be able to grow the food,
right,
and have this actual experience of watching nature, like having that epiphany of being able to witness it in all seasons of its growth and evolution, of being like, this is what it looks like in the winter, and here we are in the summer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's literal magic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just love how poetic he is, and like how elegant I feel he is in his being. And it's just something that I haven't come into contact with before. So that's my experience.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the core values I think I share with him, and many that come, yourself included, is this deep curiosity that really is the wind in our sails, that at least for me, I can say that, I've been uber curious since I was a kid. I mean, right. And, what is this thing? What is this planet? What are we doing?
What are we up to here?
And starting to see all this abstraction and aberration and just like, okay, let's make some sense of all of this. And just being so curious, how what I was given, what we were all given as this is the system. These guys have the answers, never really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, those that hear the call into the journey, I think there's a lot of similar curiosity. And, some people come for their health challenges, right? They're being faced with different levels of discomfort and symptoms. And it's very real. I mean, in my experience there, I've had people with stage 3, 4 cancers, but I've also had pro athletes. I've had people on that end of the spectrum. We've had the whole tapestry weaving in, and everybody just gets what they need,
right?
And we're not here to save people. We're not here to fix people, because we don't see people as broken. I mean, if somebody's having an experience with a chronic illness, that's some powerful energy moving into their field. But we've been taught, it's like, oh no, and the fear comes in, and oh my God, I got to kill cancer, do all that. What if there's another way?
Right.
Yeah.
What if there's another way to look at this that isn't so violent, that's a little more inviting into let's just take a pause for a moment and really get and feel, rather than think our way through. Let's feel what is really happening here.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've really gotten from Zach in our time together in the last 10 years, is that, we're here to remember how to feel deeply and feel it all, and through the senses. And that wasn't, for me growing up, it was a lot of survival. So in survival mode, you feel things to a level, but then you quickly compartmentalize it or stuff it away and stay in the head of, okay, trying to zig and zag and scheme and dream of how to figure all this shit out, rather than really sit and pause and breathe and listen to the wind and the bird song and all the communication that's coming from the ecosystem. I was in such survival mode as a kid. And so I think that really fueled my curiosity. Like, I was brought up against a system where I wasn't satisfied with what I was given and the answers. And I'm like, there's got to be more.
Yeah.
I mean, my own GI discomfort as a kid, microbiome was a mess. And I went on tetracycline, I think 2 years old, for an ear infection, which back in those days was very common. They don't even do that anymore. But
is that an antibiotic? Or?
Yeah, strong one, really strong one. And they start to wipe out, layers of microbiome in me. And so then came the allergies to everything. Walking outside, my neighbor would cut the grass. My eyes would swell. I would sneeze 100 times, couldn't go to school,
Yeah.
You start to, and I didn't take any over the counter meds because I just didn't make sense to me. I just would suffer and be like, okay. But then it starts to mature, and then he gets into GI distress, and then your bowels are not moving, and then you feel shame as a 10-year-old boy, and who do you go to talk about you just hold all that in.
Right.
You start believing shit's really wrong with you, and I'm different than everybody else, and you start to create this weird identity. And so a lot of my journey has been really just unpacking all of that and getting and dissolving and surrendering all of that, letting go of all of that illusion. Actually, I was hallucinating, and just getting into more of what is really happening here, and embracing the symptomology as lessons. As,
it's communication, right?
Yeah, it is. But learning how to decrypt that communication.
Right. That's the challenge.
We're not taught how to do. Right. So, to me, that's one thing Journey really offers people, and I've witnessed this in the people that I've been able to sit with and coach and guide, is them starting to reframe their illnesses as something that's from something that was wrong with them into actually one of their biggest blessings.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a beautiful thing. Yeah. Imagine if we had, a large sect of society starting to reframe that versus the, this is, we've got to fix this thing. You're broken, and only a certain number of people have the answers. And
the outsourcing of our health to somebody else, right? And not taking responsibility for the creation of disease in the body. And maybe it's not our fault, and maybe it's just yeah, it's a deeper inquiry. It's a deeper listening. And, that led us, I mean, I started tuning into like Germanic New Medicine a little bit, which was like, oh, there's like a language for what is happening, the connection between the symptomology and the emotions.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing. Like, what an idea, and can kind of help like reverse engineer something of like, okay, this is happening. What is it connecting to in my emotional life? And what have I just experienced that may be, what's leading to the symptoms that I'm experiencing. So that was like such a great gateway for me into knowing and understanding a little bit better about the emotions and how they relate to everything that we experience in our health. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to add the Germanic New Medicine, a lot of that philosophy, which I feel like is in alignment with what Zach is teaching, is the symptoms, if you don't rush to mask them with some type of drug or something, it's actually, and you just allow it. Their philosophy is that that's like actually the healing phase.
Mm-hmm.
And even just shifting your mindset to like from something's wrong, something's broken, I need to fix it and change it, to acceptance and allowing. Then all of a sudden, whatever is moving through, I've noticed in my own experience, my own body, things move through very quickly.
Yeah.
When you're in that emotional state.
Yeah, it's beautiful, right? It wants to be witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to be felt.
Right. And
when you give it that space, that's all it needs. And that's what nature's doing all the time. It's in self-repair all the time. It's in constant. It doesn't, there's nothing in nature that feels it's ever broken.
Mm-hmm.
But in our separation belief, illusion that we're separate, we think, oh no, we're humans, we're oriented different, and we have to fix all this shit. No, we're completely, in that illusionary state. We miss it. But I think you're right. It's been really inspiring for me to witness, and maybe I'm in a little bit of a bubble, in this community but still, I'm still seeing this movement across the globe of people starting to reclaim their power, take full responsibility, sit with whatever is in front of them as their greatest work, and not rush to, fix it or something.
Yeah.
No, that is the thing. If something's moving powerfully in your life, that is the thing that life wants you to focus on.
Right.
That is our deepest spiritual work, right? In that moment. And so can we just be with the thing and really feel it?
Yeah.
And, and like we talk about in the journey, unprocessed grief is at the root of so much. Probably everything, So it's been amazing to just have humans come into a community where they can feel safe enough to express and feel the grief of whatever it is. I mean, we're grieving all the time. I mean, every exhale is a grief of, there's a death and a rebirth a million times a day, right? Mm-hmm. So we're meant to, and what the great paradox I feel of life is like, that's the greatest opening to the greatest level we'll ever feel, is to really feel the depth of that grief. We talk a lot about it, and Zach really poetically goes into it, about how it's really the closest thing to unconditional love. Mm. So yeah,
feeling the grief.
How it just opens you up into that portal, because you feel such depth of unconditional love that there's grief there, knowing that we're in this finite body that will go away in a blink of an eye, and we go back to the infinite. So it's this like we talked about, Brooke, when you were in the journey. Remember how he was describing that we are in and out of the infinite finite every millionth of a second. We feel solid and we look solid, and we would argue that yes, we are solid. Yeah. But it's more when you get to the quantum level of it, you really see that we're zipping in and out of this reality so fast. And so two pieces there. Number one, yes, we feel solid, but it's kind of this hologram. But two, it gives us the opportunity, if we embrace that truth, to make incredible change and realize that that we're really not tapping into all of our capacity to regenerate, right, in that way. And somebody would say, well, if that's the case, why does Why does a diseased liver stay for, decades or whatever? If it's zipping in and out of reality, why wouldn't it regenerate? Well, it can regenerate, but like you said, with the Germanic new medicine, it's got emotional patterns that are still running in the field that recreate. So are we recreating the same diseased body?
Right.
Or are we starting to orientate differently so that our genes express differently and we literally create different proteins that would build us a new body?
Yeah.
So to me, it's like any given day, it's like, who do I want to create today? What do I want to create today? Because it's all there. If you do the math on 20,000 genes and 400,000 proteins that are created out of those genes, that's 4 million different bodies you could create. I mean, that's incredible plasticity. That's incredible adaptability, right? So I think that in our version of humanity in this modern era, we are just scratching the surface of that.
Right.
Right. And so, and of course that thought process beats up against the dogma. And so the dogma would bounce back with like, maybe some resistance or, that's foolish or cancel that idea. But I think there's enough people starting to come to their own intuitive. They're clearing the clutter of their own mind and body where they can actually hear and the resonance of their own song of truth. And they're starting to really go, oh, and look around and see that the answers were always here in front of them. They were just blind to it.
Yeah.
And like we talk about in Journey, we're so blind to our own beauty.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is the power of community and connection, because I can look into you and I can see the beauty that is of me as well. If I like to say we're masters of amnesia. We're going to forget that a billion times a day. So we need the brothers and sisters to show us that beautiful reflection that we would forget.
Yeah.
This is why we're wired for community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take a sip. I know you've been trying. Take a breather. Yeah, it is. I mean, that's why when you come out of those experiences, you're just like radiating and just like high, It's just like, oh my gosh, there's nothing better than coming in and immersing yourself in community, being seen, feeling held, experiencing this level of nourishment that goes beyond just the epic food usually that is being served in those kinds of spaces. That's just like, this is it. This is the juice. This is the nectar of life and the remembering of like, okay, this is like the microcosm of what could be right in these spaces. And then I think the challenge is for people is like bringing that back into their lives. So like, how do people navigate that you see in these spaces that go home? Like, is there like there could be a whole grief experience even from that, leaving this beautiful container and 100%. Then being like, oh my God, now what?
Yeah. You're right. No, I that's always the challenge is, and Zach's big on education or integration within that, right? That's why we give you, after you go through, which now the series that you went through, the Journey of Intrinsic Health, you can come into our Journey Collective community, and that's now called the Roots of Intrinsic Health. That's our Roots series, our fundamental. So just to be a part of the community, which I think is $18 a month, you get that whole series.
Oh, awesome.
Everything that you went through, you get that. So that's self-paced.
Okay.
Right? Everybody can go through that on their own. And then all the other support resources are in there, and the workshops and the additional education that they're there to support. And then us as coaches can be there, and we do these Monday community calls where we can just come and be with each other, take a pause, take a breath, and we can just kind of share the experience that we're having, that everybody's feeling, that's pulsing through them. And it's a very just non-judgmental space, a safe place to express your grief. Yeah. And nobody's going to leap to fix you.
Right.
It's just, we're there to be witnessed.
Yeah.
It's just about the witnessing. And that's the key, is to sit in front of other humans. I mean, we all do this. We share maybe our grievances or our hardships with beloveds and friends, but oftentimes they're met with, well, here's my maybe advice to fix that or repair
I mean,
that.
I can relate to that fully,
right?
of
Because
me jumping into that mode.
yeah. And I think we all do that to a degree, and our intentions are good, but there's also a level of discomfort to sit with somebody that's really expressing something very hard. And not everybody has capacity for that.
Yes.
Because they haven't really worked that witnessing muscle. So that's one of the things I see in Journey is people develop this witnessing muscle, and it's so beautiful. And we work with this deeply. We do deep work in the immersions in this way, in these triads where we'll sit in groups of 3, where you have a listener, a speaker, and then a witness to all of it. And nobody's trying to fix anybody. It's just that honest and to hear people express the feelings of being witnessed in that way without trying to be fixed, or somebody's trying to jump in and not really listening. They're trying to jump in to say the next thing because they're kind of uncomfortable. None of that exists. And when you get rid of all of that, the person usually comes to their own resolution. They just need to express and sit with the discomfort. And that's such a beautiful process, right? And so I think part of that integration is that community connection call. But we do offer coaching opportunities. If people want more guided support, they can hire one of us to come in and help them along their journey and help them integrate. What does this actually look like in your life? For instance, health is relational, right? It's all relational. And we talked a lot about this at both immersions deeply, but at the Rewild with Doug Goodfeather and Lakota tribal elders and that lineage of wisdom, he's talked a lot about, they have a term, and I'm not thinking what it is right now in their language, but it means all my relations. And that's how they live with the pulse of what is the quality of my relations to everything in my world all day long, right? Am I present with those things? And whether it be the water, the food, the soil, the animals, the insects, the flowers, all of it, right? My own body, how am I moving? How am I breathing? What is my risk? All of it. Like, where's my presence when it comes to these things? And if we can bring more presence without trying to fix, but just to witness, then things tend to flow and nature starts to orientate differently around you. And so your experiences start to soften a little bit. I mean, there's always going to be challenges. And there's always opportunities for learning and growth, but you start to feel more of yourself. And you're not coping as much. You're not trying to escape. You're not trying to numb. You're just fully immersed in the presence, no matter what that is.
Right.
And you're one with life in that moment, just like what all these trees around us are showing us. They're not trying to be any other thing. They're just a tree, and they're brilliantly doing it. So all the examples are around all the time, but we as humans tend to live more in the head and not in the body, not the somatic experience of the body. And so, to get back to what your question was, I think a lot of the integration is getting into the body. One thing we talk about coming out of immersion is starting to work more with your hands. What are you building? Whether that be kneading dough or working with wood or metal or soil, but starting to work at the pace of your hands. We weren't really designed to type all the time and text, right? That's an aberration. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It just means that there's something magical about working with the hands that get us back to a time when we were using our hands a lot more. So we talk, what are we building on a daily basis? It doesn't have to be anything significant. It could be anything. It could be just orientating a few rocks in a design in your yard, just something where you're using your hands, right? And there's a lot of different ways. People sculpt and paint and, obviously play music and all these different things. So getting at the pace of your hands, I think, is a beautiful way to integrate and help back into a slower pace of life. That actually weirdly kind of extends time. Slow down. We have more things. I always like to say the fastest way to get anywhere is slowly. Right. So just going at a rhythm of nature and not getting in a rush. It's like, where are we rushing to? And we sit down and really just enjoy some tea with the wind or the bird song or the morning light, or other humans, can we just be in these experiences and let go of like, oh, I should be doing something else. I should be rushing. Or it's like, no, just be with what is. And the next thing will appear for you and start to trust. Right. So I see that a lot in the integration. There's a level of surrender, of letting go, where people start to slow down and they connect to their breath and they connect to the relationship with water. And they actually are, very, very intentional about the water they're starting to source, because they learn about, we have the flow module, which teaches them so much about the depth of water, the quantum of water, and so much more.
Yeah.
And that hydration is an electrical event. It has nothing to do with the amount of water you're drinking,
Right.
how much is actually getting into the cell. So as they start to integrate all of this wisdom, it's already lives in them. We're not telling them anything they don't already know.
Right.
It already lives. We're just having this collective remembering. And then we hold the space for them to really integrate.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. For some people, it might be just growing a tomato plant.
Yeah.
Maybe some microgreens in their kitchen. Like, it doesn't matter where you start.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Just start where you are. It's totally enough.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to let go of your own self-judgment, that you're not enough, or it's not enough. It's like part of the illusion. So I think when we let go of the judgment, we allow in all this beautiful magic that was always there. So anyway, that's a little bit on the integration piece, but
yeah, well, that's a beautiful, like, tangible action too for anyone that's like listening. It's like, it doesn't need to be so complicated, right? Actually, the more simple, sometimes the better, right?
And there's always a need for healthy boundaries. Like, if you remember the core three, what I call the self-identity pathways, you have biodiversity at one point of that triangle. At the other point, you have communication. The third point, you have healthy boundaries. In a world that's saturated with 90,000 different chemicals now in a modern era, and no humans have ever experienced this before. Nobody knows where this is going.
Right.
But this is the reality.
Yeah.
And if we think it's wrong, then I think we're missing the point. What if it's part of the beautiful design of the intelligence of this world to wake us up through the chemicalization, through the glyphosate saturation, that it really inspires us to orientate differently in this way that wouldn't have happened without that awakening, without that pain, and without that discomfort.
Right.
So that's how we start to reframe it, and we get out of this victim mode, and we stop with the anger and the hate and the projection of all of this as us versus them, and we start to realize there is no us versus them. It's just us.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. It can appear that way though to the mind.
Right.
And so, it's as we start to flip that script, I think there is a need for healthy boundaries to integrate and kind of move forward in a world that is so chemically saturated. So we talk a lot about that. What does that look like? Well, where are you sourcing your water from?
Right.
The air you're breathing is responsible for 85% of your microbiome. So are you breathing indoor air all day?
Yeah.
Recycled, or that's off-gassing with different chemicals, or are you exposing yourself to different wild spaces in the ecosystem to increase your biodiversity so that the air you're breathing is informing that microbiome that's turning over every 3 days? These are the ways that we start to live in rhythm with nature, and it really has an impact on our health.
Totally.
And then it shows the youth, it shows our children and grandchildren, like, you're modeling. Right. You're embodying this. And so that's really the thing. You don't have to speak it with words. You just live it.
Teach by being has always been my mantra.
Yeah.
But it's so, just an example of, like, we spend a lot of time outdoors, and we went to like a networking meeting in an office building, like a real estate office building. And like instant headache. Like I feel like being in spaces, and then we also got like these new pickleball shoes that had like air fresheners in each shoe.
We've been trying to air them out for like 2 weeks now, and they're still off gassing
like some
VOCs from our shoes, and it's just like, what?
Like, it's so unnecessary. I had to actually write to the company to give them my honest feedback of like, look, a lot of people that are choosing these type of shoes, which are like the wide toe box, zero drop, are thinking about their feet health, and are probably living like more healthy lifestyles, don't need to be exposed to like way more concentrated levels of chemicals. So the more that you start to become aware of these things and start making the changes, then the more we become like highly sensitive to it, and our radar for like the toxicity kind of just goes up by my body's response, so it is fascinating to, the more we get attuned, the more we're like, oh my gosh, I don't have, it's really challenging for me to be in these spaces that are not
There's
natural.
there's a lot of people I've run across that are very, very sensitive, right? Some sensitivities are a wide range. Some are not. Some very, very sensitive to these things, and to honor where people are at on their journey and not dismiss that, oh, you're too sensitive. It's like, look, if somebody's sensitive, they're sensitive to it, but it's unique to each person. And so helping everybody with understanding, how to create healthy boundaries, how to move beyond this so that their biology can then express differently and respond, right? And getting more in touch with nature. I mean, we've had, I would say 20 to 30% of the people that come through Journey come to the end of the course or somewhere along the integration of that year and to go, you know what? I need to move.
Yeah.
I need to move. Like my house is not allowing my biology to fully express. Got chemical saturation in the walls, or maybe there's mold, or whatever. There's so many different things, or maybe they're too far north and they're not getting enough UV light in their day. There's a lot of different things, or maybe they're so entrenched in an urban center that Wi-Fi is hitting them from every direction, and just maybe they're sensitive and they're feeling it's disrupting sleep or hormone cycles and so many things. So I think we're at this time where people are starting to hear the call of like, how do I find my little sanctuary, or how do I create that where I am until they can maybe move? But I've seen a lot of people relocate, and it's been for the positive across the board. I think that's the other thing is starting with like some of the foundations. We've talked about water a little bit, but light, you think about all of the abstraction of artificial light that people are saturated in, especially in the last decade, as incandescent light bulbs have diminished production in this country, and they're harder to get. You can still get them, but they're harder to get. You got LEDs. And so you've got this isolated spectrum of blue light, which, there's nothing isolated in nature. It's all full spectrum. And so I think when you think of, people waking up, whether it's on their screens, or the first thing that comes into their receptors is this really isolated spectrum of light. I think that's a huge piece of what we're seeing. So a lot of what we talk about too is returning to this full spectrum experience, and waking up with the first light of day and getting those touch points throughout the day as the sun's moving across the sky and eventually setting, and watching the event of sunset with people and making it an event, which they do much in the islands and things. But
Costa Rica was big on that. It's like, what are you doing for sunset?
Right.
Everyone's trying to gather.
What a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a cool thing.
So, and we do it here. We go up to a high point over at Ananda, over at the ashram there, Yogananda's community. And there's a high point there where you can look one direction and catch the sunrise, literally turn around and catch the sunset.
What?
Yeah, I'll take you up there. It's a beautiful place.
I know Matt hasn't been. We just passed it, and people have been recommending him to go. I've only gone like once for the tulips a long time ago. But.
Yeah, it's like a 900-acre national park. You go in there, and it's just like fruit orchards and temples in the forest and great community. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful land. But that's the thing, is getting back to this rhythm of light. I think that right there, if I had a magic wand, it could do one thing in this world, it would be get rid of the abstraction of isolated light frequencies and get back to full spectrum lighting, and candlelight and firelight, especially after sunset. And I think you would see a massive shift in how people experience what it's like to live in a human body from that. And I just had that with my dad, before he passed. I was able to get in and work with his medical team there in Vegas. And of course, just a very modern medical center and typical. But the first thing I did is change the lighting in the room. And they let me do that, which was a miracle. That was a divine miracle. And then kind of take them outside and show them, because of my colleague created a great app called My Circadian app, which you can measure with a lux meter the brightness and intensity of a light source, anything, including the sun. So I got them to agree, like, okay, this hospital room is bright. Would you agree? And they, oh yeah, it's bright. What's your point? And I'm like, well, okay, it's about a 250 lux, which is, they had no reference for that.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is super low. I go, now let's walk outside. And it was a winter overcast day in Las Vegas. We walk outside. I pointed up at the sky, 80,000.
Dang.
80,000 lux. That's the power of full spectrum light, right? So I was taking my dad out 4 hours a day. Within a couple of weeks, he had a fantastic tan, and his melanin started to develop, and his vitamin D started to rise. And because it was at the time of year there was UVB in the sky, so he was getting vitamin D. I know a lot of people in the north don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it depends where you're at, right? And so, but that was a huge piece for them to see. And within a couple of weeks, other nurses were bringing their patients
patients
inside,
out there.
and we had a gathering of maybe 10 to 12 people every day out in front of the hospital, just sitting in wheelchairs, getting sun on and feet on the earth. And it was so beautiful, the conversations that would come out of that. And, and you could see the nurses just come alive. Too,
wow.
because they realized, this is it. This is what's missing.
Yeah.
You know, to speed up that regenerative process. So,
Right.
you know, when you plug back into natural systems in this way, the biology in the body knows exactly what to do.
Yeah.
You just have to plug back in. So, yeah, it's been a beautiful thing. And you know, I know that's what you guys are obviously value as well in your lifestyle. And, you know, you're sharing that and experiencing that with others out there. And it's a beautiful thing. And, you know, I envision this being passed down to our youth. And in the youth and the humans that haven't even been born yet that are coming, right? That they can inherit a world where there is more natural lighting and full spectrum event and this connection to nature's rhythms and natural clean waters. Because if we connect people back to this, they'll safeguard it, they'll protect it, right? Especially the water, which is now becoming a real big issue as the West dries out, and droughts are happening all over, fires are happening, you know, it's drying out. It's important to keep connecting to the sacred waters. I'm so blessed to be up here where I can drive 20 minutes and drink wild spring water that is insanely pure. It just comes from a mile underneath. But not everybody has that opportunity, right? But they could at least get a filter at their house and start to shift the configuration of their water structure at home. And, you know, water has memory. Yeah. Just get present with it and pray to it, and it'll hold that frequency. I mean, Veda Austin's work.
I was just thinking of Veda Austin. I was
just talking about her.
Yeah, our friend just got her kit and was gonna try out
That's really cool.
And I was like, "What are you gonna do first?" Which we're gonna see her soon, so it'd be kind of fun.
Human.
Yeah, you met her?
Have you met her?
No, I've never met her, but one day, we'll invite her into the journey community, hopefully.
Oh, for sure.
That would be awesome.
Share her wisdom. She's such a lovely human. I just love what she shares and the way she embodies it, and you know, inspires so many globally. It's amazing. But that's what's coming out is all of the people that are wisdom carriers are rising to the surface. I'm seeing this all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, there is some discernment, right?
Right.
You know, because not everybody carries that level of deep wisdom. There's some people that are still a little foggy in their motives and whatever, but there's always a need for discernment there. But you can really feel, if you're tuned in, you can really feel who's got the good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you guys observing in your walk right now, and as you're traveling around and sitting with people, and you know, what seems to be the point of I don't want to say resistance, but do you see humanity, do you see an old pattern? What old there's a good question. What old patterns are you seeing kind of like spinning in people's consciousness, where they're maybe not struggling, but this is what they're working with. We're working to lay down these old patterns of.
Well, one thing that comes to mind, and this is something we grapple with too, is like we want to spend more time in life, outdoors, connecting with people, you know, celebrating the creation, we call it. And in order to do that, you know, we want to create more freedom of time for ourselves through our ministry work, through our business, and, you know, using AI to do that is kind of like a weird paradox. Is like now we're using more of this technology becoming, you know, as like a shortcut or as a way to make our lives or our service more efficient so that we can get back outdoors and connect with more people. So that's like a weird dichotomy.
And another thing is we love to play, and we're like, well, you gotta like take care of your being to be able to have the energy to come out and play and be present and have fun, right? It's like when people have dis-ease, they're distracted by their state of dis-ease, and it kind of can overtake their lives, and then you have less playmates. And so we want more playmates out there, which is ultimately like sometimes I feel like I want it more than other people want it, for them to start taking responsibility for their own well-being, to be like, look, like, what is it that brings you joy? It's like we just want it more than it seems like people want it for themselves, which can be really challenging, and also learning to set boundaries with that as well, with my time and how much I pour into someone if they're not pouring it, if they're not pulling it toward them and really wanting it for themselves, So I think that feels like it's been a theme, especially in our work, that we're like, where are the people that are wanting it like we want it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's like we're in this world where people's attention spans are getting shorter. So I'm noticing that, like, if it isn't a quick fix in like month 1 or month 2, in terms of turning their health around or having an explosion in their energy or healing some specific issue, like her example was like what her mom's experiencing with her skin and stuff. It's like there's a instant discouragement and wanting to give up or go back to old patterns, old behaviors, versus like staying the course. Like for us, we've been together for 3 years. We've been going deep into our own regenerative health and detoxification and cleansing and purifying journey ever since being together. And it doesn't end. Like, yeah, we've had our own specific issues that we heal or move through, but it doesn't stop. We're like, how much deeper can we go? How much more can we purify? How much more light can we allow to move through this body and allow us to experience even more life? So
that's a beautiful way to put it. Yeah, Zach often talks about that life is a concentration of light energy per cubic centimeter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we humans have the ability to concentrate more light energy per cubic centimeter than the surface of the sun, which is an astounding reality. And so the technology of human that we've been disempowered to embrace fully, everybody, like you said, they're looking for the answer is outside of me. And if this can't fix me in a couple months, then what, and it's like they haven't been empowered to realize their own illusion. You have to first realize the illusion that was conditioned upon culture, to just sit with that and really allow the speed of forgiveness to come in, right? You have to be able to lay down the judgment, self-judgment, and then allow this self-forgiveness of the containers of shame and guilt that we created, that we move in. And then there can be this opening, right? But until that judgment is laid down and until there's a forgiveness for self, I find that these loops will spin.
Yeah.
And this is why Journey Collective is such a great community, because it allows the space for people to have their own discovery through the mirroring of all of this community of people that are on that path, right? Where, there's still people in the community that are, just like you said, they're like looking for the answers to their symptoms, but they're coming at it in a different way. They're not realizing they're broken. They're realizing like, oh, this is here to teach me. Yeah. And then it not becomes this, well, if this doesn't happen in 3 months, and then they go, no, you're going to be on the planet a while. Like, how are you breathing? How are you walking? How are you moving? What light, this is the orientation of daily life. Are you in front of screens all day? Is that your highest expression? And it all comes down to choice. So yeah, I think, but I understand that, where you're like, where's the people that are just deeply passionate and just want to go all in, right? Well, they're out there.
They are, of course. I mean, we're sitting down with you right now,
and
all the people that you've come across, and not to say we have met those people too. You know, I think it's more in the realm of our service to
Right.
to empowering people on their health journey. It's been a little bit more challenging in that regard, but yeah, they do exist, and we are attracting them as we continue to walk this path and continue traveling and being in these epic spaces and community gatherings, and they come out of the woodwork for sure.
Yeah. I mean, just to get together, there's a group of friends up here, really, really blessed to be an incredible community up here, and just to come together to share meals on a regular basis.
Oh my gosh.
Just the simplicity of that.
That's everything.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
You know, and that to me is, you know, Sunday dinners and just getting together. And I think of so many people out there that are eating alone.
Yeah.
And because of that, maybe it's been a long pattern, and the quality of what they're eating is maybe who knows what. And it's like, gosh, you know, there's always somebody to connect to just share a meal or share a cup of tea, or, you know, just that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything big. It's just, that is the thing. Just we're better together.
Yeah.
And so, you know, in this world, I think we're seeing the abstraction from micro to macro of the disease of isolation.
Yeah.
You know, and like what you learned, we talked about, Brooke, when you were in the journey, was the cancer cell is the loneliest cell in the body.
Yeah.
Right. But it can be brought back into community, and it can remember, and it can either, you know, go through a programmed cell suicide of apoptosis and be replaced by a stem cell, or it can be repaired and brought back in. Either way, it's now serving its full function. But when it's isolated, it starts to act rogue. And I see this on the macro level with people that are, you know, doing harm to others. They're acting rogue, right? They don't realize that they're part of this interconnected web, or what Zach is you know, the term of biosis, this interconnected web that makes life possible. And this is what we're all breathing. But some people are asleep to it, but we're here to embody it. And that really is the whole thing. If people just embody it, that's enough. You know, you don't have to go be a water expert. You don't have to be a breathwork expert. You don't have to be a nutrition. You don't be any of those things. You just have to be you.
Right.
And that's enough. And you just have to embody your truth, and your ripple effect in the quantum will never be seen how far and wide that reaches.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the example you guys are doing is extraordinary. You know, you're living it, you're breathing it, you're doing it, you're committed to that core value. And I remember years ago meeting Tony Robbins at an event. There's like 50 people in the room, so it was many, many years ago.
Dang.
And I remember asking him, like, what's the thing, if you could distill this down into like this, not the secret of your success, but just like, could you surmise, you know, your teachings? And he said, you know, this isn't sexy, but this is the reality. He goes, all I've done is raise the bar, and I will not drop it for anyone or anything. I will never drop the bar. I've just kept the bar high, and I will not drop it. And I thought that was so beautiful, you know, that it just doesn't have to be this complex, what's the right equation? And how do it's like, just always reach for a better thought. Consider that there's always a different, deeper perspective of what you're seeing. Yeah. Because the mind is a filtered lens of perception. Yep. Right. So can we sit with things and get silent enough and get still enough to just to feel into the deeper layers of what's really, you know, what's there for us? So silence in a world of chaos and noise and, you know, crazy vortex. Like, can we get still? Can we get still and just listen to the pulse of what's happening? What an amazing time to be alive right now. There's so much. We talked about this before we began. So much is ripe for rebirth. Yeah, it's happening right now as we breathe. So extraordinary time to be in this and to witness this and to go through this. I mean, 8 billion people on the planet, and here we are sitting here. What a miracle!
I know, it's a trip.
Miracle, right?
Yeah,
sacred.
Yeah.
And so and that was one of the things I got from the tribal elders at Rewild, was the sacredness of everything, you know, versus the mind that would say, oh, this is the mundane and I've got my list of chores. Well, I've always said, can you put romance back into taking the garbage out?
Yeah.
You know, can we bring the romance back into things? Can we bring the sense of play, which I know, I remember that so clearly from Journey, is you were so, it was all about play for you. It was so beautiful. And you were playing in the soil, and, I'm like, you were just so filled with so much light energy, as you still are. But that was one of the things that I remember mostly about observing you at that time. So yeah, really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a core pillar of our work together.
Yeah, I mean, we met on the playground, we like to say.
Yep.
Yeah, out at camp.
Kids on the playground.
Yeah, I mean, we met out in nature, at camp, in community, doing the thing, all the values, having fun, doing the work, the men's work, the women's work, unity work, cooking meals, sharing meals around the table that the men built. There's a little theater where the kids were playing, it was the whole bit out in the desert of Sedona. So it was
completely off grid, yeah.
Wow.
That was where we met.
What was created out there.
Wow.
So soul rising.
And all the things that had to happen for that event to happen in the way that it did, and all the little lefts and rights and ups and downs that, just that, right?
Yeah, we were sharing our story last night with our friend Jules, who we had on the podcast too. And just sharing our like synchronistic
ways that we came together.
That we came together from his lens and my lens and all the things before coming together, and how magical it was that, all the things align for it to be this exact way, and there's like all these other possibilities that could have happened, and yet none of them did. And so grateful that this was the way, because now here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Yep.
Well, it's going to be exciting to see what you guys create, and what you give birth to in this time, being together and supporting each other and in this journey. That's what's most exciting for me, is to watch and witness what people are birthing. Because if it's tied deeply to their, maybe that deep self-expression that they've like resisted or put it on the back burner or whatever, but it gets brought to the surface and they find and resource the courage to just like, maybe it's writing poetry or writing a song or maybe playing an instrument or whatever the thing is. It doesn't even matter really. Just their unique expression.
Right.
That's one of the most beautiful things to witness in humanity for me. I love to watch people express their deepest, most authentic expression.
Yeah.
It's what brings me the most joy, and I think the more that I'm able to witness that, more fulfilled I am.
Yeah, we talk about that often, especially when we get to go to these different gatherings and festivals. It's just getting to witness all the different flavors of human being and the unique ways, the unique weird ways that they express themselves, whether it's how they dress, how they speak, how they move. We're just like in such awe. It's such a beautiful thing. Like, weird is a good thing. We love mean weirdos out there. And it's like, be your flavor of weird, because that's what the world needs.
That's right. Yeah. That's part of this biological renaissance. Absolutely. It's all about expression.
Yeah.
And like you said, like the movement, how do you want to move? So many people, and I'm in my version of that, from that concussion in 2017, I've had just the most humbling journey through my body, movement, expression, which, I was competing in athletics at high levels for most of my life in various ways. And man, this just brought me to my knees. And so I've had to rebirth this being through my body of movement. And it's like, and what a beautiful thing. Yeah. What a beautiful thing to let go of what was, to reorientate into, no, this is what this chapter of life is calling me to be. And, finding my way that way with it. But, so I could dance and move and all the things in a new way. Right.
Yeah.
Versus, there was a time when just even walking around the block was like a big chore, coming out of that concussion. So,
and the gratitude, I'm sure.
Incredible.
That and the reverence that you have for your body.
Yeah.
After something like that, I'm sure is.
Yeah.
Different.
And to allow help, allow brothers and sisters to come in and offer their wisdom and their reflections, and where I've, living on my own since I was 13, just like lone wolfing it, and letting go of that pattern and allowing in connection community to support the regeneration too has been a big learning for me.
Yeah. Well, beautiful. Thank you, Scott, as we're getting beamed down
yeah,
there
you're
now.
getting blasted.
Speaking of light energy, we are taking it all in full force.
This thing.
We could try. But
Yeah, you're good.
I mean, we're here with it. This is it.
Yeah, well, we can kind of wrap here.
Yeah, the final question.
I mean, it's kind of a loaded one, given that everything you guys are about and you guys do with people and supporting them. I'm sure it all makes up the formula. But what do you feel makes up a thriving life?
It's a great question. I think first and foremost, an absence of judgment and a connection to constant forgiveness, self-forgiveness, I think is at the root of that. And what that does is then that evokes a sense of presence. And so as things come into your field and in your path, there's always an opportunity to respond, our ability to respond, our responsibility, with acceptance or judgment. And so I think, can we just be with what is?
Yeah.
As I like to say, the isness of the business. Like as it's coming in, can we just be with the isness so deeply that we wouldn't want, I call this sovereign observation, is to witness whatever's in your field and not wanting one iota of you to have it be different than what it is. I think that for me, that is the pathway to thrive.
Yeah.
Because you're a space of, when you're a space of non-judgment for self, then you're not projecting anything onto anybody else. And you can really see people, you see yourself and see people as they are versus through a lens of confusion or judgment or whatever. So to me, it's energetic. And then out of that bursts all of it, the physical expression, the creative expression, the community, the connection, the friendships, the relations, all of that is supported through that foundational isness of the business. Let me just be with what is, and let me wrap my arms around it fully. And when the pain feature comes in or the discomfort comes in, embracing it and not running and really sitting with it. To me, those are all like pillars of a thriving life. It has nothing to do with, how much money's in your bank account or all that. Those are all just external expressions of that foundation, right?
Yeah.
Job titles, labels, all that's just abstraction. At the core, it's like, can we fully accept ourselves? And if we can, then we can accept everything that's in our field.
Yeah.
What else is there? I don't see nature in resistance of what.
No, definitely
it's just
not.
a cooperation. And so that's
like, I really don't want to be a tree today.
Right.
I really wish there was a little bit more sun. It is.
Maybe it wants to be hugged more.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
I would say the part B to that would be, that bursts out of that would be a sense of deep compassion. And like you said, Brooke, reverence for all that is, right? Deep reverence for all life. But a compassion because we are going to experience some really painful, hard shit here. This is what it is to be finite and human, of course. We're going to grieve. It's just going to be, the sense of loss is so a part of our experience. So deep compassion for self and deep compassion for others and deep compassion for this earth and all of life, I think is also part of that wind in the sails. I would say that comes out of it as well. And just to meet people where they're at, I think is another part of thriving, just to meet people where they're at, not have them. If you feel a sense in yourself that wants things to be different for another human, I think we're out of our hula hoop.
Yeah.
I think we're in somebody else's business there.
Yeah.
If somebody's going through some hard shit and they're suffering, that's supposed to happen because it is happening.
Yeah.
And just be with them.
Yeah.
Be with them. And if you have uncomfortableness in your body, that's you.
Yeah.
That's sit with
That's
that.
a sign for
you
you.
know?
Yeah.
So I always like to say in relations, it's never about the other person. Even though our mind would lay down a laundry list of proof that it would be about the other person.
Yeah.
That's such a surface way to relate. It's ultimately only a mirroring for us.
Mm-hmm.
And can we have the courage and curiosity to go inside and see what's there, right? So to me, that's another ticket of life of thrive.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, man.
Beautifully said.
Thanks for the inquiry.
Yeah. And I guess anybody listening that want to get in touch with you, work with you, some of your offerings, how can they?
Yeah. I mean, right now with what we've got going on with Journey, we've just released our Expedition Series courses, which is 11 new modules, all filmed feet on the earth in Panama in the jungle.
Wow.
That's to stand on the root series that you went through. Those are all there. We've got 3 tier levels for people that want to go into that, offering either one-on-one with a coach for 12 months, which is an amazing opportunity to go one-on-one for 12 months with somebody and guide that way. And then there's also the 8-person container, the small group cohort. And there's also a self-discovery where they could go at their own pace.
Cool.
But just for, just to join the Journey Collective, you get access to all of those root series modules that we were, you paid thousands of dollars for back in the day. That's all $18 a month.
Nice.
No long-term you could cancel whenever, but just to be in that community and to be a part of that, and you get Zach Live every month. I think that there's so much value there.
Yeah, totally.
For that small cost, the price of less than a Netflix membership.
Yeah.
Just
cancel your Netflix and join this instead.
Yeah. So that would be one way. That's journeyimmersion.com.
Cool.
Somebody could go in there, and then I'm accessible on that platform. And then I do a little bit on Instagram. I'm not huge in social media. I don't have a YouTube channel or anything yet, but that would be another way, because I do my own consulting and coaching in addition to the work with the Journey as well that I've had for 3 decades.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing some fun stuff. We're going to be like somatically getting out, doing some we've got an adventure paddle camp coming up where we'll paddle into a camp spot and make food for people over fire, and have an experience in nature, fully immersed out there. You get there by human vessel, kayak, canoe, paddleboard. So that'll be coming
cool.
Up. Got a few things coming up. We'll do some stuff in the winter when the snow falls, and just really, gather around this nourishment of food. Me and my buddy Adam created a little pop-up called Well Nourished, where we would go in and do deeply nourishing, nutrient-dense meals with themes and stuff. So we're bringing that back and going to start to infuse more adventure experiences into that. So that'll be coming up too.
Amazing. That sounds
There's
epic.
always new things going on.
Yeah, the creativity never ends.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the being human thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we'll drop all those links in the show notes so
Okay.
people can find you. And it's been a great conversation.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having us up.
Appreciate you guys coming out.
It was great that we could just drive 30 minutes and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
beautiful up here.
We may go jump in the river now that we
That's the best idea ever. Let's go in the water.
I'm roasting.
Let's do it.
All right,
everybody
y'all.
listening, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.
Ciao.